So TVS have just taken over Norton Motorcycles here in the UK. You may have heard the news, you may have read the articles. We're going to dig a little deeper. Catch you inside. RevelatorAlf. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please subscribe, hit that bell, like and share, leave comments below, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. So you may have seen my other videos about Norton Motorcycles, and many of you have asked, actually, Alf, do you own a Norton? Have you ever owned a Norton? Now the simple answer is no, I don't, and I've never owned one, but I was actually very close to buying one, or in the process to go and inquire about buying one in the future, and that would have been the Norton Atlas Ranger. Now, as you know, my channel is mostly about the heroic Harley sport glider which I ride now, but I'm also a big fan of off-road riding. In the past I rode a lot of off-road bikes, motocrossers and Euro bikes, but also big adventure bikes, and I wanted to do something a bit smaller. Now stay with me, there is a link here. I was also looking for a smaller off-road capable bike, and I was looking at various types. I'm a big fan of the Caballero's Fantic Scrambler, the 500. That's more for the road, but they do a rally version which is more for the off-road and trail riding. So I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed when I first saw the Norton Atlas Ranger a year and a half ago at a show. I think I put it as my best in show that year, and I absolutely loved it. And I couldn't wait to get my hands on it, or certainly give it a test ride. So that was another one. But I suppose the one that really appealed to me was a Royal Enfield Himalayan. This is where the Norton and Royal Enfield lines kind of cross. Now we know that TVS have just put in a successful bid and been accepted by BDO, the administrators, to take over Norton Motorcycles for £16 million. Now they've done this through an offshore company that's actually registered in the UK, and they've cherry-picked the motorcycle specific components of the holding company. Now lots of people have been asking, actually, what does this mean for Norton Motorcycles going forward? What does this mean for the employees, and also what does this mean about for all the money that is owed to people, the creditors, and also what about the people who lost their money and also lost their motorcycles? Let's get into that quickly. Okay, so one of the things that TVS have said in a statement is effectively that they want to develop the brand as much as possible. They're a big fan of Norton as a brand, and also they want to develop it into future markets, and they want to maintain the integrity of it. Words to that effect. But here's a real thing to note here. TVS are the third largest motorcycle manufacturer in India. I think they're in the top 10, I think they're top 6 in the world. But they produce largely smaller displacement motorcycles and scooters. They're actually looking to compete with Royal Enfield in that 500cc bracket. 500cc, 650cc. They're also looking potentially to compete with the Royal Enfield Himalayan, which is really popular not only in India but also around the world. They're also looking at the top end of the market with the V4RR. Could they actually get into more markets with that motorcycle and that kind of superior model? Now it's said that TVS have paid £16 million for the company, and the company owed £14 million from its motorcycle division to its creditors. Now over £3 million of that, £3.5 million in change, goes to Metro Bank. So that money will undoubtedly go to there. Also other creditors will be paid. The second line of creditors is the employees. So the employees now will be transferred over to TVS. So then that leaves the customers who either lost money or they lost their motorcycles. This is actually open to debate now. Will TVS pay that money back, or will they honour those motorcycles that have been bought or lost, and will they replace them and complete the manufacturing process or the assembly process and deliver the bikes to the customers? Now there's certainly a potential for that to happen, there's no doubt. There's certainly money in the bank there, and TVS are a huge company valued at over £7 billion also. So there's a lot of weight behind TVS at a global scale. Could they afford to pay off those creditors? Yes, but it really depends what deal has been done with BDO. Now, a statement kind of implied that whilst they've bought the motorcycle components of the holding company, they actually won't be liable for any of the residual liabilities that Norton Motorcycles held. The other key thing here is that the 961 and the 650 engines were actually, the rights and the licensing were actually sold to Chinese companies. So it really depends now whether TVS will continue with those motorcycles holding those engines, whether they'll strike up a deal with the Chinese manufacturer, or whether they'll produce their own motorcycle engines in tandem. So this is where we're at. TVS have bought the company for 16 million, and it looks as if they've secured the jobs of those 58 personnel that were still at the company. So that credit line will be supported and will be funded. The debts to the banking will also be credited as well, so that'll be paid off. They've also bought all the tooling and all the rights to the company as well. So therefore, they can start producing motorcycles again. But will they? This is the thing now. Will they continue to build motorcycles, and will they build them at the old factory? That's unclear. Now, it's most likely that they're going to stay there for a few months, maybe keep all the tooling there, maybe honour certain aspects of the business, and possibly just move all the tooling and everything else over to India, where the cost base is going to be so much less. The other aspect we've got to look at is, and this is where Norton came under a lot of criticism from many people in the past, and they would say actually Norton should not be going over any racing prestige, they should not be going after any TT championships, so on and so forth, because the company's too small. They need to focus on building motorcycles as opposed to going for racing success. I can understand that argument, but also Norton were built on that racing pedigree as well, so it kind of went hand in hand. Here's what TVS have to do. They have to determine which is the priority for the business. Is it to produce motorcycles, or is it to continue in the goal of racing success? If it were me, I would just focus on the production of motorcycles and actually cherry pick the ones that you think are going to be most successful. I think the Atlas Nomad and the Ranger are possibly going to be two motorcycles or two variants that they may venture into. It kind of hits that middle ground with the that is a competition to the 500cc 650cc's being produced by Royal Enfield. They want to step up to that mark. They could also use that same size engine to develop the Superlight as well. Now also we've got to factor in that Norton, although they had Euro 4 emissions compliance, they didn't have Euro 5. So it really depends how much more development is required on those motorcycles with those engines, and will some of those product lines be scrapped because they won't be able to meet the Euro 5 compliance. That's another key issue here. So on the face of it, you might think TVS Buy Norton Motorcycles £16 million is a good deal. Well, that's yet to be seen. We don't really know whether the manufacturing will continue in the old factory. We don't know whether the employees will still have a job in a few months' time or a year's time, whether production will be moved over to India or another part of the world where the cost base will be a lot less. And we certainly don't know which motorcycles will be continued to be manufactured. Will people get their money back? Will people get their motorcycles back? Potentially this could happen, but those customers are on the lowest priority when it comes to the creditors, repaying the creditors. It's going to be the banking first, the employees, and other higher level creditors first of all, and unfortunately, as said in previous videos, they come at the bottom of the ladder. But if their intentions are pure, they may actually do that. They've certainly got deep enough pockets to do that. So there we go. We know that TVS are in the money for Norton. We know they've been bailed out. We know BDO are pleased with the outcome of TVS taking over. But it really depends now, the next coming months, because this is not going to be an immediate turnaround. It's going to take a few months to whittle out exactly what all the problems were. They're going to look at the business model from Norton. They're going to say, well, that didn't work, or this was working quite well. They're probably going to scrap a few products, a few models. They're probably going to look at the racing aspect of Norton, whether they want to continue with that. And then they're going to be looking at producing motorcycles with a mid-level engine or a higher engine. Maybe one, it might come down to a couple of models, 2 or 3 models, and that's what they're going to focus on. Now, of course, this is all speculation at this point, and if you read many of the articles, they're speculating at the same time. We've only got the statement from BDO, we've only got the statement from TVS as well, so it's all very positive from those two parties. Let's see what they deliver in the coming months. But there you go. Hope you found that useful. If there's any more information, I'll be sure to bring it to you, but certainly look online. If you know of any other information, just leave it in the comments below as well. And thanks to all those who have left comments notifying me of TVS taking over as well. Really thanks for that, and thanks for all the inquiries about whether I like Norton and whether I've ever owned one as well. As I say, I was very close to taking that big step, because I'm a big fan of Royal Enfield. I'm a big fan of that smaller displacement, old style type of scrambler motorcycle, and I think the Norton Atlas Ranger would have been a perfect fit for me as well. But as a second bike, as it were, because I'm not getting rid of the heroic Harley either. Right, anyway, let's see what happens. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell next to the subscribe button. I say like and share, leave comments, check out the website RevelatorAlf.com, and I will catch you again. Ta-da.